Welcome to Kentucky Roll Call.
Here's a swing and a drive to deep left. Back goes Nixon. Looking up. Daly wins it. Daly wins it. Daly wins it.
With Walker and Peak.
Woodson from the gun. Play fake. Stepping up. He's throwing deep down the near sideline. He's got Johnson. 20. Down. 5. Touchdown. Kentucky.
When Mitch called me and talked to me about being the head coach here at Kentucky, I understand the assignment. We are here to win banners.
Back outside. This is the point where he always hits it. Oh! Aaron Harrison beyond belief.
Hello, everybody. Happy Friday to you, March 13th, 2026. This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. TJ Walker, producer Matt Childress, who hasn't been in the house for the last few days as we've had shortened shows. Today will be another shortened show, but double what we've done the last 2 days as Kentucky keeps winning. They were in that 12:30 slot, and now that they're in the SEC quarterfinals after a big win yesterday over Missouri, now they get started at 1 o'clock. And once again, we'll be holding your hand up until tip-off between the Cats and the Gators, Part 3. UK looking to avoid a 3-game season sweep against one of the top teams in the country. We will hear from Stephen Peak for the first time in several days today. He is down in Nashville. We'll be joining the show a little bit later. But for now, we're lucky to be joined remotely by one Matt Sack from We're Up to No Good, who we got to hear from not too long ago, and happy to have him back here for the first segment. Matt Sack, what's up? How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Ready to get going. Also, is my mic working? Got to do the obligatory virtual Zoom thing. Can you all hear me? Are we all good? But I'm doing great. Glad to be here again. Glad to have two Matts on Kentucky Roll Call. It's always a good day. 2 Kentucky victories so far in the SEC tournament. 2 Matts on Kentucky Roll Call. It is Friday, and I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm ready for this game. I know that like the early time slots are sometimes annoying, but has there been anything better than getting like a nice early victory in the day and just kind of going on with the rest of your afternoon, knowing that Kentucky has already won? We're going to be sweating out the next few hours, but I think if we're able to come away with the win, what an amazing way to potentially go into the weekend.
Yeah, so you did what you really needed to do if you're Kentucky and Mark Pope. You obviously had to beat LSU. People were going to lose their minds if you didn't do that on Wednesday. The day of shame, as we're calling it. And then the Missouri game was one that Kentucky was favored in by 3.5 points. I think it was down to 2.5 at tip-off. But what you would consider a coin toss game. Kentucky maybe a little bit more talented than Missouri, but Missouri was able to win at Rupp Arena. This is what you'd expect to see most likely in Kentucky's first round NCAA tournament game, round of 64 tournament game. Probably a team similar quality to Missouri. That Kentucky did what Kentucky does in games like this. They look good. It was a buffer zone game. We'll talk about it. We'll break it down a little bit. You hold on. You give up the lead. You hold on, you get it back, you're able to win, and that's good. And I agree with you. It's been fun. These last 2 days have been fun. Today will be fun, and nobody's going to really lose their minds, rightfully so, if Kentucky comes up short again to Florida. Now, if they lose by 40 and they're uncompetitive and they don't show any fight, then obviously people are going to get worked up about that. But the things that you really needed to do in Nashville, you've done. Again, it's bad to start on Wednesday. That should never happen again in the history of Kentucky basketball. Really, you shouldn't be starting on Thursday. But here you are. You've made it to Friday. You're getting to play the best team in the league. And if you have the mindset that, Kentucky needs to win the SEC tournament, well, at some point you were going to play Florida. And maybe, just maybe, you'd want to get Florida when they're playing their second game in 2 days or their third game in 3 days. Maybe you don't want them to be totally fresh. But they haven't played a game in 5 days, or 6 days, excuse me. They haven't played a game in 6 days, which is probably their second longest streak they've had since December in terms of days off. And then secondly, if you were having to start out on Wednesday and we had the idea that you were having to play Florida at some point, well, it's probably better for Kentucky to play them 3 games in 3 days than 5 games in 5 days if it were the SEC championship game, or if it were 4 games in 4 days. So assuming you had to start out from Wednesday, which Kentucky did, better to get them on 3 days rest or your 3rd day playing than on your 5th day playing. So I'm not really trying to sugarcoat it. Starting on Wednesday is bad, but you're in this spot. I don't want to say it's a house money game, but you can't hurt yourself. You can't hurt your seed. I don't think there can really be any bad will from the fan base coming from this game. And then Matt Sack, if you do win, if you pull off a huge upset, and it would be a huge upset, the line 10.5 points right now, if Kentucky's able to beat Florida and really probably have the win of the day in conference tournament play, then things can start to get a bit wacky, Matt Sack. And I would imagine that you would have like 20 to 30,000 UK fans in Nashville tomorrow just enjoying the town, enjoying the weather, enjoying the day. And you'd probably have 10 to 15,000 inside Bridgestone Arena. It would start to get kind of silly if Kentucky can pull the upset today. But I knew a couple UK fans that were heading down specifically today. I knew a couple that headed down yesterday. So I imagine there will be more UK fans today than there have been any other days this week. And if you pull off the upset, you're moving up a seed line, so that's good. If you think UK is a 7 seed, they'd certainly be a 6 seed if they got the win today. If you think Kentucky's a 6 seed, well, a win today would solidify that. I definitely buy into that. And maybe, just maybe, you could move up into that 5 seed territory. Now, I know a lot of people that prefer the 6 seed over a 5 seed. I'm one of those people. All that to say, though, plenty to play for. You've done what you needed to do, at least keeping the fan base off your back a little bit. And who knows, Matt Sack? It's a tall challenge. Florida's playing as well as anybody in the country's playing. They will be a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. And it's a tall challenge. But you never know. That's why you play the games. And Kentucky has played Florida closer than anybody has. I think nobody's come within 13 points of Florida since their most recent SEC loss, which I think was in early February or late January. They're on quite the winning streak, but not only a winning streak, but a winning streak where they're just blowing teams out. 2 games have come within single digits. 1 team, that team being Kentucky. So Kentucky has played Florida closer than other teams have, and that doesn't account for anything. That doesn't amount to anything. You got to get over the hump and beat them. But maybe 3rd time's the charm, Matt Sack.
Yeah, I slightly disagree with the fact that it is a little house money-ish. Yeah, if you're looking, practically or analytically, is a loss today going to drop you a seed line? No. Did you win the games that you just absolutely had to? Yes. But Kentucky fans are entering the part of the season where, to this point, the regular season was not a success. It was a failure. Being the number 9 seed in the SEC in 10-8 in a very weak SEC is a failure. Going 2-4 in non-conference play against the teams that actually matter is a failure. So when you're looking back at the 2025-26 Kentucky Wildcats, so far it is a failure. You're playing today to have something redeemable about the team, to have something that makes you think that this season wasn't just a complete waste of $22 million and a waste of 365 days of this Kentucky basketball roster. Winning today makes you think, okay, you know what? We did struggle. We did have injuries, but maybe Pope can do it. I mean, to beat a 1 seed, the hottest team in college basketball, a top 4 team objectively in college basketball on a neutral site in the month of March, that matters. And not that you're saying like, oh, well, it's fine that we lost to Gonzaga, but at the end of it, by 35, or lost to Mizzou, at home in the fashion that we did. But you're kind of redeeming yourself, and that's kind of what you're playing for. And obviously, you need to follow it up, and either advance further in the SEC tournament, maybe get a championship, or then at least follow it up with something reasonable in the NCAA tournament. But I mean, if you win today, and let's even say you lose on Saturday, but then you go to like a Sweet 16, you're thinking, all right, this wasn't the best season, but you've had several good wins. You won a bunch of key games in March when it mattered, given that the fact that the roster didn't turn out as well as we wanted and didn't there were tons of injuries and didn't really go the way that we wanted. The fact that we came away with 3 wins in the SEC tournament, beat the number 1 team, and then got a couple more, got out of the first weekend in the NCAA tournament, you're saying that the season wasn't a complete failure. You'll look back, you'll have a lot of great memories, and then you'll go into next year thinking, all right, maybe we do trust Pope a little bit. Let's get a better roster, see what we can do. Now, if you lose today, you still don't really have anything justifiable. Like, you can say, sure, the tournament was a push at best. I mean, winning on Wednesday and Thursday to inferior teams by short margins, like that's not turning the season around, giving the regular season. So, yeah, in terms of like seed line, you probably won't move a lot either way today. You might maybe you go from a 7 to a 6. But in terms of just the outlook on the season and what's considered success, what's considered a failure, I think we are playing for a lot today. So I hope our team comes out with that mentality. I hope we catch, like you said, Florida 6 days rest. That could go in Kentucky's favor. You take them from the start. The last couple of games we went down on huge runs to start. But I do think Kentucky's playing for a lot, and I'm hoping that mentality resonates with the team. It resonates with how Pope coaches, and I hope it finds us to get a way to take those single-digit losses to a win.
That's we're going to talk about the game. We'll get Stephen Peak on live from Bridgestone Arena here in segment number 2. And but that's a big takeaway I have for the game today here starting in just about 45 minutes. Don't spot them a 15-point lead. Huh? How about you make this a little easy on yourself if you want to pull off this huge upset, and at some point in the first half, don't be down 15, 17 points to a top 5 team in the country. That makes it a little harder to chip away. But that's just a wasted sentence. It's wasted breath, Matt Sack, because this team can't help themselves. Kentucky could be up 15 in the first half today, and I still wouldn't feel good about them holding on to the first half lead, let alone the second half lead. They will go on runs. They will give up runs. It's just what this team does. We've seen it time and time again, but you can't afford to give up a huge one early. You can't afford to give up one at any point to Florida, but if you do one early, I just don't think you'll have the energy. Fatigue will set in, and you just won't really have the chops to be able to get back into it. We want to hear from you on the Gameday Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. You text it in. We'll do our best to read it on air. Already several texters into the Gameday Men's Health text line, so we'll get to those here in just a moment. Let's throw it over to the other Matt, producer Matt. How you been, buddy? What's up? What's new in Mattland?
I've been good. The bank account hasn't been good as of not having to work for the past 2 days. But, it's also been nice having a break, especially during March Madness, getting to just chill at home, watch some basketball. I mean, we're getting to watch it basically from sun up to sundown. I couldn't complain about it at all. I'm really enjoying it. It's been a lot of fun. Other than that, this week is, if Justin said it earlier on Just the Cats, and he made a good point that because I'm getting to watch all this basketball, and that's basically all I'm spending my time doing, is this week feels like it's gone by super slow. Like, I feel like I'm not being productive. I feel like I'm not doing anything. I'm just rotting in my bed watching basketball, screaming about how are these players getting migraines on the court in the Big 12. There's a lot going on, but it's been fun. I've been enjoying it, and I'm glad that the show was able to be long enough that I was able to come in and be on today with you guys.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the court. We haven't had a full 2 hours, so there's been just so many little college basketball, national storyline talking points we haven't been able to get to. I think it's an Office quote, is it Gabe, where he's like, stop talking about the sun. I'm so sick of hearing about this court. It's true. I'm so sick of hearing about this court. Oh, migraines. It's hard to look at. It's a little slippery sometimes. Listen, the Big 12, you made a decision to do that stupid court. I hate that they're pulling it away, that they're bringing back an actual real court. Live with your decision. This is your bed. Lie in it and deal with the consequences. I thought the court was cool. Now, would I want my favorite team playing on it? I don't know. I don't care. I thought when they do the little dunk thing and it'd make it look like the court was shattering, I thought that was kind of neat. It was an odd decision for them to do this in a conference tournament to begin with. They took a swing. It may have been a miss, but I hate that they're quitting. They're quitters. They're quitters, Matt Sack.
you know this is a soft launch for more full-time glass courts where they're just going to be able to put rotating ads on it. But you know that's what it's going to be. Like next year, the SEC tournament, half the court is just going to be a Kalshi logo, and the other half is going to be DraftKings, and then it's just going to be flipping, and FanDuel's going to get in there. I mean, that's what this is a gateway to. So that's my only reason I don't like it. But so is it true at Texas Tech player, their point guard Anderson, who's probably their best healthy remaining player, had a little injury? Not that you can injuries could happen on any court, as Kentucky fans have seen this year. But is that kind of the reason why we think we saw this flip?
Oh, I was there like an ankle or knee injury or something along those lines? I just had heard about the headaches, which, get over it. Take an Advil. Oh, my head hurts. The court's too bright. What about ribbon boards? What about the Jumbotron? What about fans and wacky arms in the stands and all that sort of stuff? Is that giving you a headache? The court's too bright. But I don't know if there was a court-related injury. That would not be good, but you are right. People get injured all the time on any court.
Yeah, I like he got hurt yesterday. That's what's all in all the headlines. And, of course, when it could have happened on any court, but if you do have this type of court, of course that's what everyone's going to say caused the injury, you know? It did look like an ankle. It's not coming up. It looks like some sort of ankle, leg type of thing.
There's Mick Cronin's of the world that whine and complain about everything, and then there's Tommy Lloyd, Arizona's coach. There's those types where he said, we'll play on asphalt, we'll do double rims, we don't care. We don't care about this court. Just like, why does everybody whine? It's just one thing to whine about, and everybody will just hang on to it. But I'm not whining about Kentucky winning their second game in the SEC tournament yesterday. We give out picks here. Matt Sack, we'll do that here in a little bit. Always fun to give out our Insure Max, Chad Hennessy's picks of the day. I'm cold, unfortunately. And I gave one out yesterday that I felt really, really good about and paid dearly for it, unfortunately. But this string of bad beats is getting out of control. Producer Matt, I don't know if you were keeping up with the picks, but Matt Sack on Wednesday for the LSU game, I said Kentucky would cover 4.5 points at halftime. LSU hits a 3 at the halftime buzzer to cut a 6-point deficit to 3. That's a bummer. I said Colin Chandler would have 10 points or more. He has 7 at the half. He finishes with 8 on Wednesday. That was a bit of a bummer. And then I took Kentucky 6.5 points. LSU scores with 6 seconds left to make a 7-point game, a 5-point game, I think is what it was. That was a pretty bad beat. I did give out one winner, the UK team over on Wednesday. So, but still, 3 just brutal losses all at one play, all on one shot. Just one little thing goes differently. Those are 3 wins. Yesterday, Matt Sack, my big Chad Hennessy pick of the day was Missouri over 72 points, 72 and a half points. And I think Scoots even specifically spoke this into existence yesterday when he said, are you worried about the hook at all? Because I think I said 72, and he was like, well, it's 72 and a half. Are you worried about that hook at all? And I said, well, yeah, they have to get 73 for me to win. But no, I'm not worried about the hook at all. Famous last words. Listen, it's called gambling. It ain't called winning. You have to put money up and you risk it. And sometimes you do get the biscuit. But when Missouri, unfortunately, took the lead, and UK fans became very disgruntled yesterday, but when they scored with 2 minutes and 34 seconds left, Mark Mitchell, one of his 32 points, I mean, good night. Kentucky had no answer for that dude. When he scored with 2 minutes and 34 seconds left to take the lead, and Missouri scored 70 points to take a 70-69 lead, I would have thought that 73 total points for Missouri would have been a lock. How? They don't make another field goal, Matt Sack, which I'm very happy about for what it's worth. I'll lose bets left and right if it means Kentucky wins. That's all I care about. I'm upfront about that. So I was happy with the way it all played out. But the fact Missouri didn't get 73 points when they were at 70 with 2 minutes and 34 seconds to go, I mean, that is unbelievable. So you're talking about Colin Chandler at 7 points, can't get to 10 in the second half. Kentucky up 6 LSU hits a shot at the buzzer to only be up 3. And then the other one, the LSU scores with 6 seconds left to cover that spread. And then Missouri has 70 points with 2 minutes and 36 seconds to go, and they can't score 3 more points the rest of the game, which, again, happy that they didn't. Happy that Kentucky won, but that was pretty wild. And I do want to give a shout-out to Brandon Garrison. So he's coming off a big game against LSU where he's scoring, and it's funny. He does just look like a big kid out there. Like, sometimes he's surprised that things are going his way, and you can tell when he's having fun, he's just bouncing around the court, and you can tell when he's sad, he's just a little mopey, and, like, you know, he's obviously not as engaged. But when things are going well, he's totally locked in. And no, he doesn't score yesterday, Matt Sack. He doesn't really do too much of anything until about the final 4 minutes, where Mark Mitchell is doing whatever he wants in that game. Kentucky has no answer for him. Malachi Marino did some decent things early on, but later in the game just couldn't really get his footing. And Brandon Garrison actually did a pretty darn good job late in that game on Mark Mitchell. Mitchell had a hell of a game. Again, 32 points on 21 shots. But Brandon Garrison, no shots, no points, only 1 rebound, but for a while he had no rebounds, no assists, no turnovers, 4 fouls, but how about 4 blocks? Allowing himself, his presence to be known on the defensive end. 4 blocks from Brandon Garrison. There you go. And he was even talking a little smack there late in the game to a guy that had dropped 32 points on Kentucky. I love seeing it. But Brandon Garrison maybe has been Kentucky's most underrated player in 2 games at the SEC tournament. Offensively on Wednesday, but then defensively yesterday, Zach.
Yeah, I would even say defensively yesterday as well, and getting on the boards, came up with a few good rebounds as well in some key spots. But yeah, BG, could you imagine, you know, Brandon Garrison, who it just seems like when he gets a little bit of momentum and we enter BG time, he just tries to see how much more BG good we can get out of him. And I know that, like, it's a brand new game, but it's still only 1 day away. Are you surprised that Brandon Garrison, coming off of like a career night, took 0 shots the next day? But I'm glad to see that, you know, he was doing it on the defensive end. But yeah,
that is pretty shocking. You're right. You would have thought that he would have just been like, hey, Wednesday was BG day. I've earned at least a couple threes here today. Right. Yeah, I agree with you. He played within himself. I like seeing that.
We do. So it makes you think, man, maybe if we just get him back for 1 more year. That's my favorite thing about these, you know, March get right games when we're playing LSU and Mizzou on Wednesday and Thursday. It's helping the team build confidence. It's helping them, you know, find their role and stuff like that. You know, Cam Williams is slowly, you know, integrating his way back as well. Modi and Yelovich are doing really well. The one guy that has been struggling for us and hasn't really quite figured it out in the LSU and Mizzou game so far is Jasper Johnson. And almost to the point where I'm wondering, like, if he sees the floor today. It just feels like an inevitable, like, 5-point run for the other team if he's out there for even 30 seconds. Like, can he, like, BG, awesome last couple games. Modi, Yelovich, been great. And again, Cam has been figuring it out. You know, not a huge scoring output for him, but I think he's knocked down a 3, played some good defense in the first couple games. Jasper, I mean, come on, we're playing LSU and Mizzou. Like, give us something. It's hard to trust him out there against a Florida team today, but I feel like he's inevitably going to play a minute or 2 at some point, and I hope it's half competent.
We'll see how it all shakes out. Kentucky going to be fatigued against a Florida team that hasn't played in 6 days, when most recently they played against Kentucky. We'll see if the Cats have an upset or if they'll run out of gas in the SEC quarterfinals. Matt Sack, you want to give a prediction before we let you go? And then we will take a break and maybe hear from Stephen Peak here to round out another shortened edition of Kentucky Roll Call.
So I'll give my bet pick as an emotional hedge. I think Florida is an 11.5-point favorite. I think if we do lose, we probably lose big. But I don't think we're going to. So that'd be my emotional hedge bet, my pick. But if I had to actually pick with my heart, not with my brain, I do think Kentucky wins. I think we get crazy hot from 3. I think Cam Williams does a really good defensive job on Thomas Houck, getting that matchup for the first time this year. And I think Kentucky finds a way to win 88-84.
That would be something. That would make for UK fans to be very, very excited. A little March momentum would be a good thing. All right, Zach, thanks so much for your time. Make sure you're checking out We're Up to No Good and you're following Matt Zach on all his social medias and We're Up to No Good on all their social medias. And hopefully it's a big blue win on this Friday, Zach. All right, we'll talk to you next time.
Roll call.
All right, one final segment. Stephen Peak coming up next here on Big X Sports Radio, Kentucky Roll Call, SEC Game Day Edition. Back after this.
Inspired to get off my ass and be on my way. One of these days I'll wake up steady and ready to go like Richard Petty. I'm gonna wake up and change my ways. One of these days. One of these days.
You already know that Gary Cole
Call here on Big X Sports Radio, 96.1 FM, 1450 AM. We've got producer Matt Childers. I am TJ Walker. Get your text into the Gameday Men's Health text line, 502-414-1450. Shout out to Matt Sack from Rupp to No Good for joining us there for the first segment. Get some of his thoughts on Kentucky's win against Missouri and previewing UK versus the Gators. They played just 6 days ago. Kentucky had some chances late, but just put themselves in a couple really bad spots in the first half. Got down 11-0 right out of the jump, and then found themselves down, 16 or 17 there at the half. Able to get it down to 3 or 4 there in the second half, and should have had a chance with the balls. Florida stepped out of bounds, and some bad calls, missed calls, whatnot, but just too much damage there done in the first half. We'll see. We'll see if maybe third time's the charm. You lose, Kentucky fans won't be happy. They never are with a loss. You lose bad. Obviously, that will not be good at all. But you lose, and I think people will just kind of be ho-hum. Let's see what kind of bracket you get. Let's see what draw you get. And you can start to dream for maybe a second weekend of the NCAA tournament. You win, and this really does get amplified. Again, I don't know if I said it on the postgame show or if I said it on this show yesterday or on Wednesday, but March is the great equalizer, amplifier, or neutralizer, because you can have a great regular season and you just poo the bed in March. Nobody cares about your regular season. You have a ho-hum regular season and you don't do anything in March. Well, people are going to be really mad. People aren't going to be happy. You didn't provide too many fun moments. You have a ho-hum regular season, and then you surprise people in March. You go on a bit of a run, surprise Final Four run. Who cares about that regular season? People won't remember that at all. People really don't talk about the highs and the lows of the Harrison twins and Julius Randle's freshman year. They talk about March for that team, because that's all that really mattered at the end of the day with that group. That's what this is. That's what's on the line today. You win this and you start to say, all right, hey, you know what? Regular season kind of stunk. March has been pretty cool. 3 SEC tournament wins, keeping it rolling, beating a top 5 Florida team. That's what's on the line today. It's a really, really tall challenge. I would love to be proven wrong. I don't think they have it in them today. But, I think there's probably only 2 or 3 teams that can beat Florida, and I don't think Kentucky's one of them. So it's not really a disrespect thing to the Wildcats. It's just more giving the Gators their flowers because they are that good of a team. All right, we've got Stephen Peak, I believe, live from Bridgestone Arena, potentially somewhere in Nashville. That looks like Bridgestone. I've been there enough. I know that concourse. You just walking around the concourse.
Yeah, TJ. I figured out this tournament. This is my 4th time here. And I think all the other years I've been walking outside to get into here because I have the red credential, which means you cannot just walk onto the floor like everyone else. Turns out there's an elevator right there in the media room that I can take. So learning about that for the first time, it's going to make my experience a hell of a lot better. You know what's been fun? Winning games here. It's so much more fun to win multiple games. You haven't done that since 2018. So it's the first time I've gotten to experience it covering the Cats. And it's the crowd coming in right now. We still have the 20 minutes until tip-off. And it's been a steady stream of fans in all the instances. It's going to be a good crowd today. Obviously, with the double session being Tennessee and Vanderbilt, it's going to be maybe not as much Kentucky fans as you would think. But Cat fans have showed up, man. It was all Kentucky for the first 2 games. The regular season's too amazing. I did not think there would be that many fans there on Wednesday. And it was, the lower bowl was full of Kentucky fans, even the upper deck full of Kentucky fans. So it's been an awesome experience so far, hoping to continue the good vibes today. And I'm excited. I'm really optimistic about this game, TJ. I don't know how you feel, but I think that Kentucky can get this done.
Well, I hope you're right, Stephen Peak, and I'll go ahead and just kind of give my prediction or how I think it's going to play out here when it gets started in just about 20 minutes. And I get the video. I'm lucky. It's fun just seeing Stephen Peak walking around the concourse, all this Predators jerseys above his head. It looks just the same as I left it in December after that Gonzaga game. So I don't feel terrible about this game. I'm not like dreading it. I don't think it's going to be a 30-point drubbing or anything like that. My guess is Kentucky comes out pretty well, being used to the arena, being used to the SEC tournament, being used to that crowd. I don't expect Florida to get up 11-0. I don't expect Kentucky to be down 17 points at the half. I don't know if Kentucky will be winning at halftime or if I'll go that far. Florida is a 7-point first half favorite. That seems too high to me. So I think Kentucky looks solid to start. I do think in the second half, though, they'll wear down. Florida's advantage inside, that front court advantage, will start to have a lot of success. Obviously, UK had no answer for Mark Mitchell. Florida maybe doesn't have one singular player as good as Mark Mitchell on their front court, but they have like 3 dudes that are in the same tier as a Mark Mitchell. So you're not going up against 3 Mark Mitchells, but you're going up against 3 dudes that are in the same category as a Mark Mitchell. It's a really, really tough assignment for Kentucky. So I think the front court will wear down a bit in the second half, and I do think Florida wins, and I do think ultimately they cover that 11.5, and they get like a 13 to 15-point win. That doesn't feel like a total blowout, but you're also not sweating it out in the final few possessions or anything like that. So I think Kentucky looks good early, and then they run out of gas late is my prediction, Stephen Peak, which I think is a pretty common prediction. You know, team playing third game in 3 days versus a team just starting their conference tournament run. UK wouldn't be the first team to go through that trajectory.
No, obviously this will be a tough task for Kentucky, absolutely. But here's my thing. This has been what I've been saying since we got here and since Kentucky started playing on Wednesday. I wanted Kentucky to win those 2 games and not look very good. Check and check. They did both. They didn't look good against LSU. They didn't look good against Missouri. Against both Tigers, they didn't really play out well, didn't shoot well. 6 of 22 from 3 against LSU. 6 of 21 from 3 against Missouri. And I said that I wanted them to win ugly because this team gives you 1 every 3 or 4 games. They play really, really well. And I wanted it to be the game on Friday against the Florida Gators. This is a game that could potentially maybe move Kentucky up a seed line in the NCAA tournament. And it would be the first time since 2018 Kentucky won 3 games in the SEC tournament. So this is the game. I think Kentucky, again, I said the last time they played Florida, they're going to have to make a lot of threes. I don't think there's an avenue for Kentucky to win this game without hitting at least 10 threes. And they're probably going to need more than that. I get that this would take it would take Kentucky playing their best game of the season to win this game. But for some reason, I don't know. It's like they've been saving this moment for right here in Nashville. It's nice having a coach who does take this serious. I don't really care if my coach takes it serious or not, as long as they win the games. But I know how serious my coach is taking this. And how much how serious his players are taking it. And DJ, 11.5-point spread. When's the last time you can remember Kentucky being a double-digit underdog in the SEC tournament? I think we'd have to go in the way back machine to find that.
I think they were pretty decent dogs to Alabama last year, but I want to say that was 7.5 or 8.5. What was it?
It was 7.5.
Producer Matt, mute your microphone, please. So it's probably never been double digits before. I would probably be pretty confident in guessing that. But, all right, we'll cover. If Mark Pope is that invested and he's taking that seriously, don't get blown out like you did against Alabama last year. And, Pete, that was something, that Missouri game yesterday, it did remind me a little bit of the Oklahoma game from last year, where Kentucky was in control against Oklahoma in the SEC second round last year. They were up. Things were going well. The crowd was totally into it. And then Oklahoma stormed back and took the lead. And UK couldn't really believe what happened. But dramatically, they were able to get the win. Similarly to Missouri yesterday, Missouri comes back. They take the lead. Kentucky's able, in dramatic fashion, to get the win. And Kentucky had nothing left in the tank for a really good Alabama team last year. I worry that Kentucky may have nothing left in the tank for an even better Florida team this year. But very similar last year to the Oklahoma and the Missouri game, Peak.
Yeah, it was. I'm thinking about that during the game as well. it's weird. They got up by like 16 points with about 15 or so minutes to play. I knew they're not going to cruise to a victory. That's just not how this team is built. Kentucky, to win games, they're going to win them close. I would imagine if they're going to win this game, they will come down to the wire. But yeah, the one difference last year is when I look out of the point and I saw Travis Perry guarding Mark Sears, I just kind of knew where that was going to go. And so, I think we all are concerned about the fatigue factor because we've heard Mark Pope talk about it so much, and this being a third game in 3 days, obviously, that does feel like a factor. But we talked with some of the players after the game. We were in the locker room after the game yesterday, and Brandon Garrison, Andre Yelovich were saying, we're getting like massages every game, we're getting treatment after every game, we're getting plenty of rest. We didn't feel any added fatigue today, so we really don't expect it tomorrow. And a lot of the guys likened it to when they were playing AAU ball and playing 3 games in 1 day. So it's a little bit different playing 40 minutes of high-level college basketball as compared to doing 3 games in an AAU tournament. But I want to believe that the fatigue won't be as big of an issue today. It obviously could play a factor. Florida's very physical, all that stuff. But look, I don't know why. And maybe it's what all the Kentucky fans do. Like you got somewhat of a home court advantage here, knowing that we're due for a good game shooting the 3. And I want to see the Malachi Maria. He hasn't really had a great tournament so far. Maybe he plays his best game today. So, yeah, I do agree with you that game was a little reminiscent of the Oklahoma game and how that finished. But, Kentucky last night, or yesterday morning, afternoon, whatever it was, able to get some much-needed baskets down the stretch. When Missouri took the lead, TJ, I thought Kentucky was going to fold. I thought that was a game a month ago, 2 months ago, as I take it always told us that Kentucky would have let go of the road, but they probably wouldn't have been able to pull it out. And now that they've learned how to win these games, you can see that there's some confidence building in that locker room, even if it's just beating the 16th best team, even if it's just beating Missouri. There's some confidence building in there. There's some more trust building in that locker room. When I left the locker room yesterday, I was like, I don't know why. I just feel confident. I just confident in these guys.
I love hearing that, and I hope that confidence is proven to be true. My breakdown for the game that will start here in just about 12 minutes is Stephen Peak live from Bridgestone Arena. This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio. I am TJ Walker back in Louisville. Producer Matt Childers back in Louisville. So here's the way I break it down. UK's guards have to win the backcourt matchup. Can't tie it. You can't play Lee and Boogie even. You have to outplay Xavier Lee and Boogie Flan. You have to outplay them. UK's guards have to have a better game than Florida's guards. And then Klevslar coming off the bench, whatever, the shooter, doesn't matter. Lump them all in together. Lump Kentucky's guards all in together. UK's guards have to decisively win the backcourt matchup. Again, can't be even, can't really even be all that close. UK's guards have to definitively be better today. You really need Florida's guards to have a bad game. Bad shooting game, turning the ball over. That's not what they normally do. They're very smart players. They are efficient. Boogie Flan, probably the least efficient of the bunch. Maybe you try to speed him up. Maybe you try to make him do too much. But it's a well-coached team. It's a good coach team. UK's guards have to win the backcourt matchup. And then, as you mentioned, Malachi Marino, it needs to be his best game of the season. Brandon Garrison, the first 2 games, he needs to be that good again and maybe a little bit better. Mo Diabate, we need aggressive Mo who's going to play smart and not try to do too much offensively. Let the game come to him. That's when he's at his best. The front court is not going to win the front court matchup today. UK's front court is not going to outplay Florida's front court. Can you be neutral? Can you play them neutral? Can you lose the front court matchup in a respectable manner? That's what I'm looking for. I think it's honestly a pretty obtainable bar for this team and for this front court. Play them even. Play them even. That doesn't necessarily even mean you have to win the rebounding battle, but you can't get crushed on the glass. You can't get swallowed up in points in the paint. Play them as close to even as you can. Let the backcourt be the ones to carry you. But Malachi Marino needs to be good. And good for him means just defending and rebounding and not fouling out. If he does those things, Kentucky could have a chance today.
Yes, I absolutely agree with everything that you said there. The backcourt is going to have to carry Kentucky today. But the three-headed goat, as they have deemed themselves, or I don't know who made up that nickname. It was interesting watching Mark Story do an interview with Ortega yesterday and ask him about the three-headed goat. I don't know, something interesting about Mark Story saying that. But yeah, those three guys are going to have to produce today. We're gonna have to have Cam Williams hit a few threes. I've liked what I've seen out of him. It's weird that he's back and playing that quickly after breaking his foot. So you could use a Cam Williams game where he hits 2 or 3 triples, and then the three guards have their best game of the tournament. And like you said, Malachi Marino, if he wants to, he's been moving up around those draft boards all year. This is a game where he can really show what he can do. I still think he's coming back next season, but you want to try to impress some of those scouts. Have a big game against the Florida Gators. And Brandon Garrison has been, surprisingly good. I'm not just talking about his 17-straight performance against LSU on Wednesday, but I thought he played pretty well yesterday. Yes, he has defensive lapses every once in a while, but that's the Brandon Garrison experience. So if we can get maybe another flagrant technical foul out of Brandon, Kentucky's pretty good whenever he gets one of those. I think they're undefeated, actually, in games where he's gotten a flagrant or a technical. So maybe we'll get one of those out of him today. And yeah, you're going to lose the front court battle, like you said. And yesterday, I think the strategy was we're just going to let Mark Mitchell do whatever he wants. We're just not going to. We're just not going to let the other guys beat us. So instead of doubling down on Mark Mitchell and letting him dish out to guys who are 40% three-point shooters, they just said, hey, if this one guy beats us, that's what happens. So I think it's going to be a similar strategy today, not letting the two bigs let the two bigs do what they're going to do, and don't let guys like Xavier Lee torch you from downtown. Don't let your other guards beat you with threes. And like you said, you can't let Biggie Flan be a factor either. So, man, this place is already just rocking with people. It is crazy.
You got to be on like lap 10 at this point, right?
I kind of stopped walking in the laps because I don't want to get too far away from the elevator at this point. But yeah, we did a couple laps, getting some cardio in. Been doing a lot of that. Probably some pacing will be going on for me in the upper deck at some point in this game. TJ, what do you think? What do you think if this game comes down to the wire? Do you go with Otega Oweh again, or Denzel Aberdeen as they did yesterday? Who's the guy you're going to today? Yesterday it was Aberdeen against Oklahoma. A year ago it was Otega Oweh. Who makes a big shot for Kentucky today?
Yeah, you'll ride the hot hand, and this team has done a pretty good job at identifying the guy who has been playing well and making sure that they have gotten the ball, whether it's been Denzel Aberdeen or it's been Otega Oweh and even Colin Chandler in some instances. The quote was truly complimentary, but just he did mention how inefficient Denzel Aberdeen was on Saturday. I wonder if Denzel will say, hey, Todd Golden, keep my name out your mouth. I was your player. I'm not anymore. Yeah, I was a little inefficient, but I've got something for you today. I wonder if Denzel will try to press the issue a little bit after Todd Golden commented on how inefficient he was in the most recent meeting 6 days ago. So Denzel Aberdeen just needs to hit some threes, really. He needs to do what he does, but if he can knock down some threes, the perimeter is going to be a big equalizer for UK today. I agree with what you said when we first started chatting. It's probably going to need to be 12 threes, realistically, if UK is going to win. The issue is Florida's really big, they're long, they defend the perimeter well, and it's hard to get clean looks against them. And Kentucky only made 6 the first 2 games. On the one hand, maybe they're due for a great outside shooting game, but on the flip side, if you couldn't shoot that well against LSU and against Missouri, Florida's not going to let you shoot that well. So hopefully Kentucky can get going from the perimeter today and then ride the hot hand, whoever that may be. Peak, I'll let you get out just a little bit early. He's showing us he's inside the arena now. It's very cool. Go ahead and give me your prediction for this game today, and then your seed prediction, and then Monday's show is going to be a can't miss.
Yeah, so I might be crazy today. I might just be, just trying to fill in the vibes too much here. But I'm going to go with Kentucky 83, Florida 81. Cats move on to Saturday. That bumps them up. We're going to say get them back on that 6 seed line. Some people might say you're starting with the 5. I personally would rather have the 6. Give me the 6. I'll take my chances on the 3 seed in the second round. And I think Kentucky's got the potential. We'll see today. If they come out and get blown out today, I won't feel good about this. I think Kentucky's got some potential to see a second weekend again.
I hope you're right, Stephen Peak. Have so much fun. Thanks for taking 20 minutes and chatting with us. Enjoy the game. Live from Bridgestone Arena, he is Stephen Peak, and this is Kentucky Roll Call. We've got just a few minutes, and I'll wrap things up here, read a couple texts. The texter says, halftime nap for our tired players. Oh, that's not a bad idea. Did you listen to Peak on Fireball Shots episode of Sources Said? Scoots, Mama, Scoots, and Gil must be proud. I did not. Is it Marino or Moreno? Don't really care. I was told Marino. I said Moreno all off season. I was told Marino in the preseason. I've stuck with Marino. I'm going to stick with Marino, but don't really care one way or another. A texter says Anderson slipped and hurt his groin. Says one texter. Which Anderson?
I think they were commenting on when you were talking about the Big 12 court, and you asked.
Oh. Gotcha. Okay.
But I mean, that can happen on a wet court. They just don't clean it up right on a hardwood. That can happen anywhere.
Texter says Todd Golden will be feeling right at home in the Predators arena. How about that? There you go. There you go.
Good zinger.
We're currently top 35 on both offense and defense. In KenPom, we haven't finished with both in the top 35 since 2019. That's crazy. That's good. Playing for a 6 seed today, in my opinion, a controversial opinion. I hate Todd Golden so much, I'd rather Duke win the title. Oh, that is a terrible opinion. Texter, we agree on probably like 85% of things. I've never disagreed with you more. I mean, let Todd Golden just rack up the championships if it keeps Duke from winning. What? Are we kidding? And I'd rather have Todd Golden win his second than Dusty May get one at all, for what it's worth. But Dusty May, he can win 3 before John Steyer even sniffs one. Texter, it's glad to have Screaming Peak back. It's a funny text. I don't have cable. Can you imagine that? It's true. No basketball games here. Unfortunately, enjoy yours. Hey, Assumption in the the KHSAA ladies Sweet 16. They held on to beat Frederick Douglass 32-30 between the number 2 team in the state and the number 8 team in the state. 32-30. But way to go, Assumption. Another texter says, glad to finally be able to listen live instead of podcast. Is it more likely we lay over today and get crushed or play with full intensity and make the game? Percentage chance, I say 75-25% we lay an egg based on history. I think Kentucky comes out, I don't want to say starts hot, but I think they're competitive in the first half and then the wheels fall off there in the second half. I've got the Gators by 13 or 15. My Chad Hennessy and Shermax picks of the day. Oh, I've had some brutal beats. I mean, just like the most brutal beats ever. Feel good about today. You can go one of two ways with this. You can take the over in the Miami-Virginia game, just the over entirely, which is 143. Or you can take the Miami team over by itself, which is, I think, 70. So you can take either the game over, which is 143, or Miami team over 70. I actually think Virginia probably wins the game, but I think that game's going to be in the upper 70s, low 80s, not the high 60s, low 70s like they're predicting. All right, I think Kentucky is a 7 seed when it's all said and done. I think Peak said 6. I'll go with 7. They win today, they definitely will be a 6. And we'll talk about it on Monday at noon. I think Schriebel's doing the post-game show on my behalf. So no post-game show for me, but tune on over to ESPN 680 at 3:30 just to double check. Go Cats! It's time for Florida versus Kentucky. I believe on ESPN, whatever it may be. This is Kentucky Roll Call on Big X Sports Radio.
No disguise.
Game teams, cheer them on, and let's make some